Hey, it's Irina Pozan, and welcome back to the Career Cravings Podcast. This podcast has a simple mission. It's to help ambitious professionals like you build the career and life that you've been craving. Over the past 15 years, I've worked as an HR leader, designed hiring systems, led recruitment teams, and I've sat on the other side of the hiring table. I've seen what works in today's job market, what doesn't, and what separates those good candidates from the ones that actually land their dream roles. Now I'm bringing everything I've learned straight to you. Each episode is packed with actionable insights and tools to help you land your dream role sooner. Now let's dive in. So before we even dive into today's episode, I have a huge and super exciting announcement. And this is something that I only do once a year. So I'm so freaking excited to invite you to this. I am hosting a live free training session on all things job search to get you hired faster. So inside, we are going to be talking about resumes, interviews, what's working in today's job market with all fresh material. It's going to be so freaking exciting. And it's happening on April 10th. So this training is for you if you are an HR professional and you're specifically looking for an HR role. We're going to dive deep into what's working in today's market, how to stand out from like those 500 other applicants that are applying to roles. And if you are not in HR, don't worry, I have another training for you that's also in the show notes. So swipe up. I cannot wait to see you there live. And the best part of a live training is really the interaction, the energy in the room. And I always stay an extra half hour, answer all of the questions that are coming through the chat. So come join me, ask your questions. I cannot wait to support you. If you have already attended one of my free trainings before, amazing. I would love to see you there again because we are diving deep into the changes in the market since my last session, which was last year. And if you've never attended, you are definitely going to want to save your seat. The feedback that I get from this training specifically is like 10 out of 10. So I cannot wait to see you there. Swipe up in the show notes. It's going to be the very first link that you see. And I can't wait to see you there on April 10th. Did you know that up to 80% of jobs are never posted online? This means while you're scrolling those applications and applying, the juicy roles that you're looking for at those dream companies, the more strategic, the more senior roles, they are actually in the hidden job market. And if you are not using LinkedIn to its full potential, you are missing out on 80% of those opportunities. So today we are going to be diving into how to unlock the hidden job market using LinkedIn. And I'm going to be sharing the 5 ways you can also optimize your profile and enter the hidden job market. And I'm also going to tell you how I landed my own dream director role without ever applying because the executive recruiters reached out to me. So if you want to learn about how to get recruiters to reach out to you instead of you chasing after those job postings and being one of the hundreds of people that apply, you are going to learn how by the end of this episode so that you can have your LinkedIn working for you and actually start opening those doors for you to those hidden opportunities. So let's dive in. So I know that many people believe that most of those exciting roles get filled through referrals or internal candidates, but that is not the full story. Referrals and networking can help, but it's not just about being a referral. It's learning how to stand out and attracting those opportunities for you. Okay, so what is actually stopping you from getting into that hidden job market? Let's break it down with Ryan's story. So my client Ryan, he came to me completely frustrated after 1 year of applications to tech roles. He was applying and he was not landing any interviews whatsoever. So the issue wasn't that he wasn't hearing back for those exciting dream roles. He actually wasn't hearing back for any roles that he applied to. And with that belief, he just completely took it out of his mind that he could interview for one of his dream companies like Google. It had been over a year since he had an interview, and he signed up to work with me one-on-one. And to be honest, he wasn't even sure if it was going to help. He thought his situation was hopeless. He thought it was because he was new to the country. He thought it was the specific tech skills that he was missing. But all of that changed when we started to work together and optimized his LinkedIn profile and resume. So we're going to be breaking this down. What Ryan and I did was go through his profile. We optimized his resume so that when he does land those opportunities, he has a resume that is reflective of the type of roles that he applied to. We added the right keywords in there. And also that we took all of that information and put it into his LinkedIn to make sure he was showing up in those recruiter searches. We showcased his impact, not only on his LinkedIn, but in his resume, so that he had measurable achievements that are linked to the type of role that he wants, not the type of role that he had. And we created a strategic networking plan so he can connect with decision makers and build the right relationships that actually matter. One of the fun things that we did on our very first call was create a dream company target list. And I asked Ryan, if you could have, a role at any company, where would you want to work? And being a tech guy, he said Google, right? And we both sort of smiled. And within weeks, Ryan landed an interview at Google. So his story proves that it's not you. It's not your specific experience. And you can enter the hidden job market and make it work for you if you know how to stand out. So we're going to cover the exact strategy that he used on LinkedIn today. And the good news is that you could do this too. So maybe you're listening to this and you're still thinking, no, it's me. I have trouble getting noticed because of XYZ, because of the gaps on my resume, because I was laid off, because I don't have that type of experience. And the truth is that it is not you, and anyone can get noticed using the right strategy. But right now, if that is you, if you're like, yes, Irina, that is literally me, I want you to immediately stop listening to this. Go into the show notes of this episode, just scroll up immediately and go watch my free masterclass on how to land your next role in 90 days, because I break down the full strategy, including all pieces, not LinkedIn like we're going to be covering today. And in this training, I break down exactly the strategy that Ryan used, where we updated his resume, his LinkedIn profile, wrote his pitch, the interview skills. So all of the things combined that actually fast track your search. And then I want you to come back to this episode and dive deeper into LinkedIn. Okay, so let's dive in further to LinkedIn. So here is one thing you may not realize. Most recruiters use a tool called LinkedIn Recruiter to find candidates for roles that are never posted. It lets them search by specific criteria, so very specific keywords, job titles, skills, or even locations. And this is where, for a role that's never posted, you could get messaged. So if your LinkedIn profile isn't optimized for the roles that you want, here's what happens. You might not show up in the search at all, or even worse, you could be reached out for roles that are not exciting, not aligned, and you're thinking, well, maybe I'll speak to this recruiter, but it's not something I'm interested in for whatever reason, the salary, the type of role, the industry. But the opportunity here is that when your LinkedIn profile is actually tailored and targeted, recruiters start to reach out to you for the roles that you actually want. And I am super passionate about this because I am living proof of this. My recruitment team used to do this and use LinkedIn Recruiter to find people for roles that were never posted. And this also happened to me where I landed my director role without ever applying to that organization. And if I had waited for that opportunity to come, I would still be waiting because that director role was never posted. Now, being recruited for a role is the dream. And the reason I say this, there are so many reasons, but the reason I say this is because all of the negotiating power, even in this job market, is in your court. Instead of when you apply, so when you cold apply to a role, you're competing against all of the hundreds of other applicants that also walked off the street and applied into that role. And instead of this, you are actually being invited to the conversation, which means you are in the driver's seat. So when a recruiter reaches out to you for a role you've never applied to, they are hoping, wishing, and praying you're going to DM them back, right? How different is that than you DMing organizations and hoping they respond? You have the leverage because you're not chasing the role and they're actually chasing you. This gives you options, right? So you can evaluate the opportunity without the pressure of needing the role or that like needy chasing energy. Also, when a recruiter reaches out to you, you already know they're interested in you. So from the very first words that come out of your mouth, it's a very different power dynamic. You're in a much stronger position to then negotiate salary, benefits, flexibility, how many times you work from home, all of that good stuff, because you know they already like you, because otherwise they would not be reaching out to you. So think of it this way. Being recruited shifts you from being the job seeker to an in-demand candidate instead. And all of this, the only way that this can start is by optimizing your LinkedIn profile, which we're going to dive into the 5 ways that you can do that. And I recommend doing all 5 today. Your LinkedIn profile is literally a billboard for your career. It's attracting the right opportunities to you or the wrong ones or none at all. So if you're being reached out to right now for the wrong roles, then your LinkedIn, I'm going to go ahead and guess, is tailored for the types of roles you used to have and not the ones that you want. Or maybe it's been a while since you've updated your LinkedIn. Maybe it feels uncomfortable or overwhelming. This is exactly why we're going to break this down today so that you can change that, because it is so important and it is so much more fun being a candidate when a recruiter reaches out to you instead of you being one of the hundreds that apply. So I'm going to go ahead and go out on a limb and assume that you believe that you need to apply to hundreds of roles to land that dream role. But what if I told you that they can actually come to you? And I landed my director position without applying at all. A few years ago, what I had realized after being the candidate from the other side of cold applying, that traditional way of applying was no longer working for me. And I just thought, this is not a pleasant experience. This is not the way I want a job search. And I actually completely cold turkey stopped applying. I knew exactly what I wanted. And I wanted a strategic role leading an HR team where I was leading a department and actually designing talent management programs. I knew that this is what lit me up the most. And I also knew that this is the type of role where there's typically one in a larger organization, which means there are very few roles like this. And after going through the application process, the traditional way where I was asked things like, why would you be the best candidate for this role? I actually completely stopped applying. I decided to change up my approach and I never applied through a job board again. And instead of waiting for those opportunities to be posted and then hoping I would be the one noticed out of hundreds of people, I focused on making myself the candidate that people would dream of hiring for this role. So what I did was started with my LinkedIn profile and I highlighted my leadership experience and measurable results. I also focused on all of the wins that I had within talent management that I knew recruiters would be looking for. What I focused on were the transferable skills from the other areas of HR that I had. So for example, improving retention rates, engagement, learning, building high-performing teams. And I positioned myself as the solution to the exact problems that I knew companies were facing that were looking for a talent director. Next, the 2 things that I did were focus on my own learning and growth at my current role in my own company, taking on additional responsibilities and doing more related to talent management. And then I got super intentional about networking and making the right connections. I want you to really hear me when I say this. I tailored my LinkedIn profile to the role that I wanted. And what happened was recruiters started reaching out to me. And the result was I was then interviewing without applying. Some of the roles that came my way were not the right fit. I explored them. I spoke to the recruiters anyway and passed on the opportunity. One was actually really close to my house, but it was in nonprofit and extremely low paying. And I knew the right role was out there. So I had waited and the result shocked me. Okay. So I had started getting reached out to for the exact type of role that I was looking for. And I ended up landing my director of talent role at a global firm that checked all the boxes, leading talent management. It was strategic. It was building out the department without ever submitting an application through an executive recruiter. So this is how it happened. One day, out of the blue, I got reached out to by an executive recruiter on LinkedIn. So I am assuming what happened was they used LinkedIn Recruiter because I knew no one at that company, and they looked for specific skills like leadership, strategy, talent management, retention, engagement. All those words were in my profile. And then they had contacted me and they sent me a role scope. So they had sent me more information on the company and more information on what the role would be like to see if I was interested on my end. And although I was happily employed, I said, absolutely, I'd love to discuss. So I had an initial interview with the executive recruiter. Now, this type of interview is extremely different because they are actually trying to sell you on the role and trying to convince you to go to the next stage of the interview. They already love your profile. They already know about you. And they're actually doing a lot of the convincing instead of the traditional route where you are the one that is trying to sell yourself to be able to move on to the next stage. And then from there, everything happened super quickly. I had 2 interviews with the hiring leader, the CHRO, another peer, and also the CEO. And I had an offer within a couple of weeks. Remember when we talked about the power dynamic and how excited I was to tell you how different it is to interview for a company when they have reached out to you. So in the second interview, I was actually asked questions like, how quickly would you end up accepting an offer if we gave you one? Because they were worried to lose me as a candidate. They knew that I had options and they knew that I had never applied. Another question I was asked was, what if your current company gives you a counter offer to keep you? Would you stay? Or like, what would you do in that case? I prefer, and I know my clients prefer being asked questions like this instead of, hey, what do you have to offer? Like, tell us why you'd be a good fit to work here. Tell us about your experience. And that's because the power dynamic was switched and the executive recruiter came to poach me. Now, also, when you have a recruiter in your pocket, they have an incentive to want you to win. They want you to get the job because they will get a percentage of your salary when they place you. So if they find the best candidate, they will get paid based on that. So they're often sharing more information that you would typically get from an internal recruiter. They are trying to help you as much as possible through the application process. I know this probably sounds really exciting. You're like, okay, Irina, tell me exactly how to do this. And that is exactly what we're going to get into next. And if you've ever wondered why recruiters are not reaching out to you in the way that I've described that my clients are getting reached out to and my own experience, and you want that to be the case, then continue listening to the 5 shifts that we're going to talk about that have to do with your LinkedIn profile. The answer lies in your personal brand. This is not about just a LinkedIn profile. It's about having a profile that actually screams, I'm the perfect candidate for that specific role, and not just, these are the things that I've done in my past. Your brand is what makes you memorable. It's the thing that tells your story. It shows your content. It shows your interactions. It shows how well connected you are, even if people would recommend you for roles. And every recruiter's goal is to find a candidate who not only meets the requirements, but are actually going to stand out through the recruitment process because that makes their jobs easier as well. And that's where your brand comes in. When you have a strong personal brand, you are visible. Recruiters can easily search you. They can find you for the right roles that you're interested in. You're also relevant because your profile signals that you are aligned with that type of opportunity, that industry, that specific job. And also it builds trust. So a professional that has a personal brand online builds confidence in their expertise. And it leaves recruiters thinking, wow, they are a real person. They have real connections, real thoughts, real recommendations. And then recruiters will feel comfortable reaching out to you because they know it's likely that you are someone who uses LinkedIn. You are likely to respond, and they're not sending a message somewhere into the abyss and hoping you see it 2 weeks later. Okay, so remember how I said your profile is your personal brand billboard? So I want you to answer one question. You can even pause this episode and I want you to go on your phone or maybe on your laptop and Google yourself. And I want you to tell me what comes up first. I am going to bet that the first thing that comes up is your LinkedIn profile because that's what happens with almost every single person because of the super strong SEO that LinkedIn invests in and has. So when you look someone up, their LinkedIn profile comes up first. Even if you look me up before my website, LinkedIn comes up first, which means when you're applying for roles, the very first thing that people are going to look at is your LinkedIn profile. So I would never rely on a private document such as your resume to tell your story when you have a public profile that people are looking at when making the decision on whether or not they want to reach out to you. Your LinkedIn is something that many more people are going to see over your resume. You really should be spending at least as much time on your LinkedIn profile than you do on your resume because so many more people will see it. Plus, for roles that you don't even apply to, you can have the opportunity to interview at when recruiters reach out to you. So you might be sitting here and thinking, okay, great, Irina, I can't wait to hear your tips. That being said, I don't really feel comfortable with social media. Or what if my boss sees this? Or what if my old coworker sees this and they're wondering why I'm updating my profile? I'm here to tell you that people care a lot less about your profile and checking the updates that you've made on it than you do. And it's unlikely that they will even notice. And even if they do, I'm here to challenge your thoughts and say, who cares if you did spend the time to update your LinkedIn profile and build a personal brand? Let them think what a great catch they have if you are currently working for their organization. So don't focus on that. Focus on the amount of opportunity this can bring your way. And if today LinkedIn feels super overwhelming, you don't know what to do. You don't know what to post. Maybe it's been a while since you've even looked at it or updated it or gone on there to like or share content. Trust me, you're not alone. You may already know that literally each and every one of my programs has a LinkedIn audit component. And I've had some clients that get so frustrated with LinkedIn. When I go to check their profile, they're like, I've deleted it. Like I had one client that's like, oh no, I deleted it. I cannot have it. I'm not updating it. It's too overwhelming. And I was reading one of my client profiles before, we updated it and her headline just said achiever. And that was it, right? So this was not going to help her in her job search. And actually, even if someone did want to call her back from her resume, after they looked at her LinkedIn, they may change their minds and just call the next person because that likability and trust factor is not there. So when was the last time you truly looked at your LinkedIn from a different perspective, from the perspective of a hiring manager or recruiter? Now, if it's been a while, or maybe you updated it a year ago or a couple years ago, but you know it can be taken to the next level because you're just not seeing the traction that you want. People are not reaching out for the roles that you want them to. Let's change that. I want you to nail the first impression because you've probably heard me say this before, but your first impression matters the most. So what will happen is someone can click into your LinkedIn. And by the way, your LinkedIn profile definitely should be linked on your resume because this improves the chances of you getting a call back when someone can quickly hover over that link, see you're a real person. It's going to be much more likely that they will actually call you for an interview. But what they will see first are two things. We are very visual, and whether they're looking from their phone or their laptop, the very first thing that they're going to see, it's going to make their first impression. There are two things. It's your profile picture, but also the banner image. So this is what helps someone decide whether or not they want to call you or whether or not they want to stop scrolling on your profile and send you a DM for a specific opportunity. First, many people don't use the opportunity to have a banner. If you don't currently have a banner, it's that thing at the very top that goes all the way across. I highly recommend that you get one. And this doesn't even have to be a picture of you. It could literally be stock image of a professional office, or it could be something that's related to your industry, or it could be something that really ties your personal brand together. So there are so many ways you can have a great profile. You can go on Canva or you can go on Google and pick a banner that suits you. This should be something specific to your professionalism, your brand, or maybe the industry that you're targeting. And next is your profile picture. So this is super important. I want you to not only have a profile picture, but I want it to be professional because LinkedIn is still a very professional type social media. So I don't want it to be the same picture that you would use like on your TikTok, on your Instagram, where maybe those are selfies. I want this to be a picture of you smiling and for it to be above the shoulders. So it doesn't have to be a professional headshot, but the photo should sort of resemble one. And you definitely want to be smiling in the picture because in North America, this is a very approachable signal. It means that people will think you're friendly, maybe you're nice to work with, and also they may be inclined to message out to you because of that factor that you look approachable, you look friendly, and this is someone that they want to speak to. If you haven't looked at your LinkedIn for some time critically, you may go on there every day, but really assess. Open up your LinkedIn and see what that first impression is like. You can take a screenshot and you can send it to a friend and just be like, what do you think of this as a first impression? Okay, so make sure you have a great profile picture and a banner to really showcase that you use LinkedIn, you're a professional, and you are welcoming people to read the rest of your profile after that first impression. Okay, step 2, this is your headline. It's the next thing people look at. It's also part of that first impression and writing a profile that actually gets clicks. So something you want to consider is your headline is the thing that people see, even if you're commenting or liking or applying to a role before they even click into your profile. So you want this to be something that attracts those clicks because you do want the more eyes on your profile, the better for your job search. It's that thing, it's that hook that recruiters see and they decide whether or not they want to click in. And so people will type things in that they want to find from your headline. So if your headline today just says HR professional, you're already missing out on opportunities. You want to include something that attracts the type of role that you want. So in my example, when I talked to you about that talent management example, I had the words talent management, recruitment, leadership, strategy, those type of words right in my headline, so that it attracts similar opportunities to me. The easiest job to get an interview for is the one you've already had. So the more that you can match your profile with the type of role that you're actually going for, the better likelihood that you'll start getting those calls from recruiters for the roles that you want. So I want you to step back and think about, if you were the recruiter, put yourself in their shoes, what would you be looking for in the type of role that you're targeting? The more you can align this, the higher the chances are that you're going to get calls from your dream opportunities. Okay, now once you do this, you have your banner, you have your profile picture, and you have your headline. Amazing. You've now updated the top of your profile, and I would love to see it. So feel free to DM me your updated LinkedIn headline. After this episode, send me a screenshot, and I would love to see it. All right, so moving on to the third shift, I want you to think about your summary. So this is a section that I want you to think about as your elevator pitch. Your summary also is an optional field. So you may not even have a summary on your profile today, or it might be something that's not perfectly aligned with the type of role that you want. Think of this as a personalized elevator pitch to the role that you want. Okay. So picture this. Pretend that your dream company has reached out to you for the exact role that you want. What would you tell them that would make them interested and wanting to keep speaking to you? This is what I want you to put in your summary statement. And I want you to think about this as very friendly. This is social media after all. I want you to write it in a first person. So I don't want it to say, something that sounds like a biography. I want it to sound friendly, approachable, yet professional. And I want you to think about what would be the things that your dream company or position would want to hear about you that would make you move on to the next interview. And that's what you have to put in here. So I have some journal questions that you can really think through to get to what you should put in your summary statement. So first, I want it to start with your personal brand. So what makes you unique? What's your why? Your summary should also talk about your journey. So what milestones led to where you are now? What have you done in your career that make you a great fit for the type of role that you want next? And then I want you to optimize. So you can add some humble brags in here. You can add some metrics to really quantify what you're talking about here. And then I want you, without saying it, I want you to signal what's next for you. And also I would invite someone to reach out to you. So you can end it with something friendly, like a call to action, something like, hey, I love building my network and feel free to DM me. I'd love to connect with you. So something like that to make it again approachable and relatable so someone will want to reach out. So for continuing on with my example, I can't remember exactly what I had in my summary, but I know I built it around my brand and my pitch, and it probably had an element that started with like, hey, I am a results-driven HR leader with over 10 years of experience driving employee engagement and retention. So I'm linking in elements that the dream organization or role would care about here. So remember, when you're writing your summary, think of it as a conversation with that dream role's recruiter, right? Pretend this is an interview and list out the things that you know they would want to hear about you to move you on to the next stage. Here's an action step because you know we love taking action here on this podcast. I want you to take 10 minutes and review your current LinkedIn summary. And I want you to ask yourself, does this signal the type of roles that I'm ready and excited about? Does it show my values and what I'm ready for? Does it highlight specific achievements or metrics that would draw someone in and make them think, ooh, this person would be the right candidate? And if not, rewrite it today with these guidelines. Okay, next, we're heading into another section that you'll see next in your LinkedIn profile, which is the experience section. So this is, of course, where your roles are listed, just like they would be on a resume. But the really missed opportunity here is people often will have a resume that has all of the details on what they've done, but they skip putting it into their LinkedIn. Or what I see the most common is people put in what's already not working for them in their resume. So for example, you'll just copy and paste from a resume that's not getting you results that you're looking for the roles you want, and you copy in those keywords. But what you've already done is proven that that isn't working for you. So having a really strong experience section actually starts with a great resume that's already getting you traction and landing interviews for the roles that you want. Once you go through your resume, and by the way, if you're like, Irina, I have not done this, I'm not getting reached out to for the roles that I want, then what I want you to do is go, and in the show notes, there is my free masterclass. This is where I break down how to know if your resume is working for you or not, and start there, because garbage in is garbage out. If you take something from your resume that's not working, it's also not going to attract the right things on LinkedIn either. But once you have that, I want you to literally copy and paste all of those achievements, not your job description, your achievements that you're the most proud of at the most senior level. And I want you to put it into your LinkedIn. And what this is going to do is transform statements in there that probably just say something like, I project managed this initiative, to having quantifiable results in there that are linked with keywords that will then have recruiters being able to find your profile. So your experience section, most people don't know, is linked to the skills recruiters can search. I don't want you to write a task list. I want you to highlight your most valuable achievements for the role that you're targeting with metrics. So for example, I led a team of 10 HR professionals achieving a 30% improvement in employee retention within 1 year. as an example of something that would have worked for the type of role that I was looking for. So have it specific and use the tips from your resume that are already working for you and make sure they're entered into LinkedIn as well. And most people look at me sideways when I tell them to do this. And they're like, wait, I'm just going to copy it here. And I know there's some metrics or some numbers you might not be comfortable with posting publicly. So that's okay. Don't include those ones. But the more keywords you have in this section, it will up the skills that you have on your profile. And those skills make you searchable when recruiters are looking for the next right candidate. So they'll pop in skills like leadership, data and analytics, certain technical skills. And that's how profiles will come up on the first, second, and third pages of their search, which the pages that come up first are going to be the ones that get the calls back from the recruiters, right? They're probably not going to be going on to like page 10 to message someone. Okay, so your skills that are entered in the skills section and your experience section, they're not just a checklist, they're really a magnet for LinkedIn recruiter searches. So they could be popping in skills like leadership, strategic planning, certain technologies, and then you will come up on the first pages. So I want you to make sure all of the skills are not reflecting roles you've had in the past, but they're actually reflecting the things that are most critical to the type of role that you want. I know I keep saying that, but it applies to every single thing you do within your job search, interviews, your LinkedIn profile, and even your resume. So the last section I want you to really focus on in your profile is the recommendation section. Now, this section is optional, so you may look at your profile and not see any at all. And that's okay. Everyone starts from somewhere, but this is a huge opportunity to build trust and credibility with someone who's looking at your profile. So I want to make sure you have some great recommendations on there. And so think of it like this. When someone lands on your profile, they don't know you. To them, you are just a fictional character. They're scrolling through. If they make it all the way to the bottom, they're pretty interested. So that is incredible. And they're making a judgment on if you'd be the right candidate to call or to spend their time speaking to. And often as a recruiter, when I would see strong recommendations from leaders, from peers, I would think, okay, wow, first of all, this is like a real person. This is someone who has relationships, that's trustworthy, and it's worth using one of my in-mails to message them and to give them a call and to spend time interviewing them. So recommendations play a huge factor in building your credibility. So what I would do if you don't have any recommendations, what I would do is think about the people that if you got a job offer tomorrow that you would call on. So these would be the people that you call and you have great relationships with them already. And they are people that support you in your search. And I would reach out and ask them for a LinkedIn recommendation. You can even just say something like, I'm looking at making my LinkedIn better. So if you've also enjoyed working with me, then amazing. It would really help me to have your recommendation. And these things stay on your profile forever. And they are the last thing people see on your LinkedIn profile. Now, if you have a couple of recommendations, maybe they are from last year or a couple years ago, and maybe there's some other recommendations that you either asked for in the past or maybe didn't ask for yet. The action item here is to really revisit that and assess. And I would target at least 3 strong recommendations. That would be amazing. And it builds so much trust with someone to know that you are someone who works well with others and has real relationships. So lastly, this is a bonus tip. I know we've already covered 5 different tips. We've covered the most important sections on your LinkedIn profile, but I want to state the obvious. LinkedIn is about building your network. So it's not just about having a great profile and hoping people show up and message you. It's also the way you show up on the platform, how you engage with people. Do you like posts from your industry? Are you coming off as a thought leader? Are you sharing your insights? Are you connecting with people that can help you in your career? Do you have relationships that you're nurturing over time? And the more visible that you are, the more opportunities will come your way. So being active on LinkedIn also signals to the algorithm that your profile is something that should be pushed out to more people and to recruiters. And also when you're engaging with content, your profile is then being shown to other people that you're not even connected with. So that could be super helpful for your search as well. So we are going to do a whole other episode on how exactly you can post content on LinkedIn that will get you hired. And that is a whole other topic for another day. And if you're sitting here also curious about how to network using LinkedIn in the right way, I have another podcast episode that goes deep into like the type of DMs and how to network specifically. So after this, I want you to go and listen to that one as well. The last thoughts I want to leave you with is your dream job is so much closer than you think. And LinkedIn is not just a platform, it's your personal brand. And when you optimize it and you use it correctly and you stay active, you unlock these opportunities that you didn't even know existed. Focus on having a profile that you are proud of that actually reflects the type of roles that you are attracting. And your dream role could be so much closer than you think when you make yourself visible. And remember, if you are currently looking for your next role, LinkedIn is just one of the 4 shifts that you need to actually land your dream role. So LinkedIn is a really great element. Networking is a really great element. But you're also going to need a really solid job search strategy, resume, and you're also going to need to know how to interview once those recruiters come to you. So if that is you, if you're currently looking for your next role and you want to know how to land that role as soon as possible, just check the show notes for my free masterclass where I walk you through all 4 shifts that you need all in one place to land your dream role as soon as humanly possible. Let's connect on LinkedIn, and until next time, keep building the career that you are craving. Hey, before you go, if you've enjoyed listening to today's show, I would love your support. Please take a moment to leave a review anywhere where you listen to podcasts. And here's the exciting part. I'm running a special contest and giving away a one-on-one session with yours truly. All you have to do is leave a review, take a screenshot, and send it to me in my DMs. All of my contact info is in the show notes. I appreciate you so much, and I cannot wait to build the career and life that you've been craving together. See you next week.